Hola a todos, soy Javier Poveda y esto es De Bien TV, el canal donde te lo vas a pasar de bien mientras aprendes geografía, historia del arte y un poquito de economía y de empresariales. Este vídeo va dirigido a mis alumnos de primero de la ESO, de sección del CEIPSO, el Encinar de Torrelodones. So, in this video, we are going to take a look at the contents and the presentation of Unit 2, Relief. The presentation is already uploaded to the virtual classroom, so you can take a look over there. Let's go with some magic. Here we are in the presentation of Unit 2, Relief. This is the Grand Canyon of Colorado in the United States. So first, we are going to take a look at the structure of the Earth and its interior. The interior of the Earth is made up of three layers, okay? Tres capas. This, and these two that form a single layer. What are their names? This is the crust, la corteza. This is the mantle, el manto. And this is the core, el núcleo. The inner core and the outer core. El núcleo interno y el núcleo externo. These are the three layers of the Earth, of the interior of the Earth. Here you have another diagram. The crust, the mantle. In this photograph it is divided into parts, but it's a single layer. The mantle and the core. Okay? Very easy. And now we are going to talk about how relief is formed. So we have to know that the Earth's crust is not smooth. Smooth is flat without no projections, okay? It is not smooth, but it has plains, it has valleys, and it has depressions and mountains. For example, here we have a valley, we have this is some kind of plateau, we have mountains, okay? And all these geographical features together, all of these together, these elevations and these depressions, all together are called relief, el relieve. So the crust and the upper part of the mantle constitute the lithosphere, la litosfera, okay? The crust and the upper part, so the outer part of the mantle. And this lithosphere is divided into a series of large blocks which are called the tectonic plates, las placas tectónicas. Here in this map, in each color, you have a tectonic plate. For example, this is the North American plate, this is the Eurasian plate, the African plate, the South American plate, Antarctic plate, and so on. And these plates make up a giant puzzle, okay? They are all connected, whose pieces are the continents and the ocean floor, okay? This is a continent and this is the ocean floor, okay? And these tectonic plates, they are moving, okay? Right now, they are moving very, very extremely slowly, but they are moving. And this movement of the plates create the orogeny, la orogenia. Okay? And the orogeny creates large units of relief such as mountain ranges and plateaus. For example, it depends on the movement. If it's a convergent movement, when the two plates move towards each other, when they collide, then the mountains are created. Okay? If the movement is divergent, if they are separating, we have trenches. Okay? A hole. And they also can slide past each other. Then we have the earthquakes. But we will see that, we will talk about that later in this unit. So since the tectonic plates are moving, or have been moving for hundreds of thousands of millions of years, the shape of the land, the map of the Earth has changed, has been modified. For example, around 300 million years ago, this was the shape of the Earth, okay? These are the modern boundaries, the modern frontiers or borders, so you can distinguish how or where were, for example, Europe and Spain before. For example, Spain was next to Africa and also to North America in Canada, because the plates and so the continents have been moving for millions of years, okay? Here you have a video of the continental drift, which is the movement of the tectonic plates, la deriva continental. I recommend you to watch it. Next slide. No. Now, next slide. Now, so when two tectonic plates collide or move towards each other, okay, they go together, then we have a tectonic fold. So the plates collide and the land falls, okay, un pliegue tectónico. And this is an example of it, okay. This was supposed to be flat land, but now it is folded, okay. We can see here the lines of the terrain. This is a fold, this is a fold, look, ooh, and suddenly, whoosh, whoosh, there's a fold here, a tectonic fold. Here is a mountain in León. Here you see the line of the mountain, and suddenly whoosh, the mountain is folded, okay. This is because of the movement of the tectonic plates. When the plates are separating, okay, when they are divergent, when they are going away from each other, then we have faults, okay. Faults es una falla. Fold es un pliegue. Do not be confused with this. This is, for example, one of the most famous tectonic faults in the world, which is the San Andreas Fault in the United States, in California. All of this because California is located in the boundary between two tectonic plates which are separating from each other. And then we have this relief feature, a fault. Also, this is another fault or rift, which is also another name for it, in Ecuador. Do you see here the rift? Or for example here in Iceland. Okay, this is another tectonic fault. And this is a very small one, okay? This little triangle has fallen here, okay? Instead of going like this, it has fallen here next to this guy. This guy is for scale only. So let's talk now about the shaping of relief. We have already seen what is the orogeny and the orogenic processes. When tectonic plates push against each other, they build mountain ranges, okay? But there are another agents that contribute to the shaping of relief. They are mainly four: the water, the wind, the extreme temperatures, and the action of the human beings. How do they modify the relief? Through erosion, transport, and sedimentation. Erosión, transporte y sedimentación. Okay, this is an example of wind or aeolian relief. Okay, the relief caused by the wind. Let's see some examples of it. We have first the relief caused by the water, and we can find several types of this relief. We have first the coastal relief, which is the relief of the coast. Here you have a cliff in France, for example. The water hitting the rock has made these vertical walls, okay, which are called cliffs, acantilados. This is La Playa de las Catedrales in Lugo, a very famous place, and it happens here the same. The water causes or shapes the rock with these beautiful shapes. Then we have the fluvial relief. The fluvial relief is the one created by the rivers. Here, for example, this is a river next to the Amazon. In this case, it's in Peru, okay? The river excavates the ground below it, okay? This is another example of fluvial relief. This is a fluvial terrace, okay? Several terraces that the river excavates in the ground over millions and millions of years. This is in the United States. Also, we have another type which is the glacial relief. The glacial relief is the one formed by glaciers. The glaciers are these big amounts of ice that move from the top to the bottom of the mountains, okay? And the movement of the ice also erodes the mountain below them. This is the result of a molten glacier, okay? Which is called a U-shaped valley. Here, some millions or thousands of years ago, there was a glacier, okay? This is the result. And finally, we have the karst relief. And this relief is created by the action of water on permeable rock. The permeable rock is the one who lets the water enter, Okay, this is the karst rock, and the water filtrates, okay, and goes inside the rock. For example, limestone. Limestone es piedra caliza. Some examples of this, we have La Ciudad Encantada en Cuenca. Okay, here the water has dissolved the lower part of these rocks, okay, and thus they create these very interesting shapes, like mushrooms, rock mushrooms. Another example here in Madagascar with these little towers, or for example, this is Pamukkale in Turkey with these terraces, okay, full of water. Or for example, with the most iconic shape of relief, because of the karstic action is the caves. Okay, for example, these are las Cuevas del Drac in Mallorca. Okay, you can visit them, and you travel on a boat if you ever go there. Then we have the other agent, the wind. How the wind works. The wind erodes rocks and transports sand and dust. What is the most iconic example of this relief caused by the wind? The deserts, okay, and the dunes. Each one of these little mountains are the dunes, las dunas, and they are caused by the wind. Then the temperatures, the extremely high or low temperatures cause rock to crack. For example, this. Why does this happen? Because you know, when a solid heats, it expands, and when it cools, they contract. So, and the constant expanding and contracting, it makes finally the rock to break up. Okay? And this is what happens, and this is what you can see if you look at your window in La Sierra Madrid. Well, this example is from New Mexico in the United States. And finally, the action of the human beings, because we, the human beings, can change large areas of land for our own use. This is, for example, the Mir mine in Russia, which was a diamond mine, okay, and this is now a big, really big hole. Look at the height of these buildings. These buildings are like a 12th floor high, and look at the size of this hole. Another example, the Bingham Canyon mine in the United States. This is the biggest mine in the world. Okay, look at, they have bite the mountain. Look at the size of this hole also. But we don't only destroy the relief, we can also create new relief. For example, this is in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. This is a full artificial island with the shape of a palm tree, which has been built in the sea, okay, next to the coast. So now we are going to see the different types of landforms that we can find in the relief, okay? We need to understand this, we need to know their name, and we need to know how to define them, okay? So be focused on this. First, we are going to start with the continental relief, which is the relief, the shapes of relief we can find in the continents, inside the continents. First, a mountain range, which is a line of high mountains. This is the highest mountain range in the world, the Himalaya, and this is Mount Everest, which height is 8,848 meters tall, okay? This is a plateau. Well, mountain range is a cordillera. A plateau is a meseta. What is a plateau? It's a flat terrain like this that is elevated around the surrounding area, okay? The altitude of this area is lower than the altitude of the plateau. We have a plain, una llanura, which is a flat area of land with a few landforms, okay? A very plain, very flat area, that is a plain. These are the northern Great Plains in the United States. We have the hills, colinas, which are low elevations smaller than a mountain. Here are the Chocolate Hills in the Philippines. Look, these little elevations, okay, and they are way smaller than a mountain, of course. Those are the hills. We have a valley. A valley is a low area between two high areas, usually with a river running through it. through it. This is a mistake, okay? It's this O should be missing. Okay, this is a valley, okay? It's an area between two high areas. It's a flat area, more or less flat area between two mountains or between two mountain ranges, okay? And this is caused mostly because of the action of a river. That is a valley, un valle. Now we are going to switch to another type of relief, which is the coastal relief, okay? Remember the relief of the coasts. What types of relief can we find here? First, an archipelago, which is un archipiélago in Spanish, which is a group of islands. As you can see here, the rock islands in Palau, in the Pacific Ocean. Then we have a ría, una ría, which is a river valley that has been invaded by the sea, okay? The sea is here, okay, and this is a river that goes through here, but the sea has invaded all of its valley and it is called a ría. We have a lot of rías in Galicia. For example, this is la ría de Ferrol in La Coruña. A peninsula, una península, it's a piece of land surrounded by water except for one side, okay, this part, or except except for one part, which is called the isthmus, okay? Here you have it written, the isthmus, that connects it to the mainland, to the continent, okay? This is a peninsula, which is the most famous peninsula we know, the Iberian Peninsula, la Península Ibérica. What is the isthmus of this Iberian Peninsula? This part of land which are the Pyrenees. Then we have a gulf or a bay, un golfo o una bahía, which is a body of water that indents, that goes inside the coastline, okay, inside the land. Okay, for example, this is the line coast here, and then this body of water gets into the land. What is the difference between a gulf or a bay? The size. When it's this shape of relief, it's small sized, then it is called a bay, una bahía. This is a bay. But when it is larger, it's a gulf, okay? And this is in Koh Phi Phi in Thailand. A cape, un cabo. What's a cape? A large area of the coast that extends into the sea. It's the opposite of a gulf or bay. For example, this, you have an area of the land that goes into the sea. This is el Cabo de Gata en Almería. A marsh. What is a marsh? Marsh, una marisma o un pantano. It's a low wet land that is floated by the tides, okay? This is, and here you have the sea, and here, sorry, it's a very low, a very depressed area that is floated, okay? It's covered by water. And this example, we have this one is the Everglades in the United States, in Florida, but we have a very good example in Spain, which is el Coto de Doñana, en Sevilla. Sevilla, Huelva y Cádiz, creo que, I think it's there, okay? Next is a beach, una playa, which is an accumulation of sand and gravel on low areas of the coast, okay? I think this has no further explanation. This is in Bahamas, in the Caribbean Sea, I mean. Then we have a lagoon. A lagoon is una albufera. It is not a laguna. No es una laguna. Es una albufera, lagoon, which is a shallow body of water separated from the coast by sand, which is this case, or coral. Okay, this is in Australia. It's like a little lake, let's say, which is very close to the sea, but it's not connected to it. Okay, because there's a barrier made out of sand or coral. That is a lagoon, una albufera. And this is a cliff, un acantilado. A cliff is a vertical wall at the edge of the land. Okay, these for example are the white cliffs of Dover. We have seen already another cliff before where we were talking about coastal relief in France. Okay, this is very straightforward. An estuary, un estuario. What is this? Well, where the river, it is the place where the river flows into the sea at the river mouth and fresh water mixes with salt water. Okay, this is el Río de la Plata in South America. This is Buenos Aires, and this is Montevideo. And this is the river that comes through here and goes into the Atlantic Ocean. But here, this area, which is mud, okay, this is the estuary. Okay, in this area, the salt water and the fresh water from the ocean and the river are mixed in this place. Okay, in the estuary, el estuario. Then we have a delta, un delta, which is a deposit of materials transported by a river to the river mouth. Okay, the river transports a lot of materials from the ocean, and they sediment. They stopped traveling here, so we have this type of relief. Okay, at the end of the rivers. This is the Mississippi River in the United States, and we have in the Iberian Peninsula another great example, which is el Delta del Ebro. And they usually have this triangular shape. Okay. Now we switch to another relief, which is the submarine relief, the relief underwater. Okay. Here we have several types of relief features, but we have to know only 4. Okay. First, the continental shelf, la plataforma continental, which is an extension of the continent below the water. Okay, this is the continent, and here you have an extension until here. Okay, of the continent. This is the continental shelf. Then we have the abyssal plain, which is an enormous area of the ocean floor that is relatively flat. In Spanish, la llanura abisal. They are flat lands, flat plains, okay, at the bottom of the oceans. We have ocean ridges, which are mountain ranges underwater. That's it, okay? This is a mountain range which is underwater. And finally, we have ocean trenches, trincheras oceánicas, which are deep depressions that reach the depths over 10,000 meters. Okay, these here, they are formed because of the contact between two tectonic plates. These 4 features we have to know, okay? And this is an example on Google Earth. Here you have the continental shelf of the American continent, the North American continent. All of this is the abyssal plain, and we have another abyssal plain here. Here we have an ocean ridge, these mountains that you can see, and here you have a trench. Okay, this big and deep hole. And finally, we are going to end this unit talking about geological hazards, which are los riesgos geológicos, o los peligros geológicos. So, geological hazards are manifestations of the dynamics of the forces of the Earth's interior, and they can cause natural disasters in areas where they occur. Which are the most dangerous ones? They are the volcanoes and the earthquakes. Here you have the eruption of the Mayon volcano in the Philippines. So first we're going to talk about volcanoes. What are they? They are landforms. They are this kind of mountains or mountains that are created by the eruption of the materials from the deepest parts of the Earth's crust and the mantle. Okay, they are the eruption of these magma materials. Okay, this magma is below the crust. Okay, it's in the upper mantle, and when they erupt, when they come to the surface, they provoke these volcanic eruptions. The parts of the volcano are the magma chamber, la cámara magmática, the chimney, la chimenea, which is the way that the magma goes through until reaching the surface, the crater, which is the hole where the materials are thrown to the surface, and the volcanic cone, which is the little or big mountain that is formed after these materials cool down. Okay, very easy one. And here you have some examples of these eruptions. This is the Anak Krakatau in Indonesia 2 years ago. This is the Etna which is in Italy, in Sicily, in 2015. That this eruption was combined with a storm, with all of these lightnings. Okay, very spectacular view. And here you have a couple of videos in which you can see the magma or the lava in action. Okay, you can see them if you want at home. No. another example of lava versus a can of Coke. There was, there has been very famous, maybe the most famous volcanic eruption in history was the eruption of the Vesuvius in Italy in the year 79, okay, during the Roman era, which we will study later in this course. And in this year, the Vesuvius erupted and it destroyed several Roman cities which were located nearby. For example, Pompeii and Herculaneum, okay? Pompeia y Herculano. And because of that, the city was covered in dust and it has remained very, very well conserved. Okay, we have the archaeologists. They even found these dead bodies, dead corpses. Okay, then they were covered with the dust from the volcano. Okay, these are real dead people, which is very interesting. And now the second geological hazard, which are the earthquakes, los terremotos. The earthquakes are sudden movements of the earth crust produced by a release of energy from the Earth's interior in the form of seismic waves, ondas sísmicas. So, for example, when there is a fault, okay, a tectonic fault, and these tectonic plates, they move, they slide past each other, sometimes they free a lot of energy in the form of these waves, okay, these seismic waves, and these seismic waves, they cause earthquakes, terremotos. We have to know the two parts of the earthquake, or the two main most important points. They are the focus, or the hypocenter, el hipocentro. This is where the earthquake starts in the underground, and the epicenter, el epicentro, which is the same point but vertically in the surface. Okay, these 2 points: epicenter in the surface, hypocenter in under the surface. Okay, underground. And these are the results of the earthquake: a total destruction. For example, this is a very famous earthquake, the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco in the USA. Or this is another earthquake 2 years ago in Alaska. Look that it break up all this road, okay, and the area nearby. When the earthquakes are start under the sea, they usually cause these giant waves in the sea, which are called tsunamis, which is a Japanese word. Okay, this is the this is the tsunami caused by an earthquake in 2011 in Japan. Okay, this is the earthquake that caused the disaster of the nuclear plant in Fukushima, for example. And how do we measure the intensity of the earthquakes? We measure it with this kind of tool, or with this kind of machine, which is called a seismograph, un sismógrafo. When the earth starts to move, this little needle, let's say, it moves and it registers in a paper the movement of the earth, okay, the movement of the land. And the intensity of the earthquake is measured with a scale which is called the Richter scale, which is a scale which goes from 1 to 10, being 1 the most insignificant movement and 10 extraordinary movement. Okay, so the higher the number or the value of the earthquake in the Richter scale, the more danger it provokes. Okay, the more dangerous it is. And here you have some examples. And that's it for this unit. This is the gigantic road in Ireland, if I recall correctly. This is a volcano type of shaping of the relief, these hexagons, which are very impressive. And that's it. So, that was all for this unit. Espero que lo hayáis entendido, espero que os haya gustado, y si tenéis algún tipo de dudas, ya sabéis, al correo, a la Aula Virtual, o bien incluso me podéis hasta escribir por el Instagram, aunque no deberíais tener. Me gustaría acabar esta lección con un pequeño poemita que sale en un cuento de los hermanos Grimm que se llama El zagalillo. Este cuento, muy rápidamente, dice que se decía que un zagal es un chico joven que se decía que tenía respuestas para todo y un rey pues le quiso poner a prueba y le dijo, te voy a hacer 3 preguntas a ver si las sabes responder. Si las sabes responder, te quedarás conmigo en tu palacio. Dijo el zagal, vale. Pues la primera pregunta le preguntó cuántas gotas hay en el océano, le contestó. La segunda pregunta le dijo cuántas estrellas hay en el cielo, le contestó. Si queréis saber estas preguntas, tenéis que leeros el cuento, que es súper cortito. Y la tercera pregunta, que es la más interesante, es la que dice, ¿cuántos segundos tiene la eternidad? Y le contesta el zagalillo, en Pomerania hay una montaña de diamantes, tiene una legua de alto, otra de ancho y otra de fondo. Desde hace 100 años se posa en ella una avecilla y afila en ella su pico. Pues cuando hayas desgastado toda la montaña habrá transcurrido el primer segundo de la eternidad. Y el rey se quedó tan picueto que finalmente se lo llevó. Para que veáis lo que tardan estos procesos de formación del relieve. Muchas gracias por ver el vídeo y nos vemos en el próximo.